Hello, and welcome to Buyer's Remorse. I'm Darren.
And I'm Justin.
And we're going to talk about... Oh, man. Suck at introductions.
Buyer's Remorse.
So in this show, we pick a game for each other, and that's already in our library.
Exactly.
And we give it a shot and see if we regret buying it in the first place. Usually they're part of a bundle, and sometimes there's some good ones, sometimes there's some real stinkers. I think for Justin I picked... what did I pick for you? I forgot.
The Mooseman.
Ah, yeah. Oh, you were my guinea pig. That's right, because I have this...
We both bought the same bundle, and so you wanted me to try it to see if it was worth keeping or if you were going to trade it, I think.
That's right.
So the Mooseman is a game that was just released February of 2017. The developer is just a name, Vladimir Beletsky.
Oh.
He didn't work on it alone. There are credits with other names for music and things. So it's primarily, I guess, his game. It's roughly about $7.50 on Steam, or $10 if you get the version that comes with the music. Again, the music is a bit weird on Steam because I think it only works on Steam.
Yeah, I think you can only play it through Steam.
So, though that might be nice, it's not really something I use often. I have music elsewhere on my computer rather than just on Steam. In this game, you are the Mooseman. You have the ability to see more than mortal eyes can see, is basically the description on Steam. There are only, at this stage, 322 reviews, and it has a very positive rating. I will warn that it only has partial controller support, so just beware of that, people like me. So, what do you want to know?
What kind of game is it? It looks to me like a Limbo kind of clone.
It's not.
Okay.
It does, however, look a lot like Inside in the way that it only uses a few colors and they're kind of muted, and it has that kind of primarily 2D look, but at times trying to make it look like there's a bit of depth to it.
Okay.
But the 2D of it looks much more like Limbo with Inside colors.
Okay.
If we go with that. So you see trees in the background, you see some trees kind of in the foreground, but you are primarily just walking along a track and you can't go forward or back, and there's nothing really deep in the distance that we're looking at. It's all right there near you. So that's kind of the look of the game, but it's not really a puzzle game. There are a few puzzles, but they're pretty simple puzzles, and that's not really the main focus of this game. I would say that this game is much more closely related to Never Alone. Have you played Never Alone?
Yeah.
Okay, so Never Alone is a game designed to be, I would say its primary focus is educational, to talk about the kind of folklore and culture of a people. And that's very much what this game is about.
Okay.
So the Mooseman comes from a legend from... See, it's a part of the world that I'm not as familiar with, so I think it's referred to as Parma a number of times. I would say it's also a folklore and a culture that I'm not as familiar with. So all of the things that I was hearing about in the Mooseman were new to me.
Well, Parma as in Italy?
Because it's much more like...
I thought it was like Native American or something like that.
No, it's much more, I think, like Russia... Oh, sorry, not Parma, but Perm?
How have you spelled it?
P-E-R-M.
Perm? No, never heard of it.
Yeah, so I don't know exactly... Everything I was learning about here...
Somewhere in Russia, anyway.
Everything I was learning about here was something new to me, so
Okay.
I was not familiar with it. This game is about teaching the folklore, and that's its main focus. So one of the tags that it has is story-rich, but I'm not sure I'd really go with story-rich. It's more like mythology-rich. You walk past idols, and as you walk past an idol, you get a bit of the story of the Mooseman and the history of the world as told through this mythology. So the Mooseman is essentially one of 7 sons of the creator of the world. And that means that the Mooseman, all of them, the 7, they basically have this cycle where they have to go through the 3 worlds. So there's the middle world, which is where we live, the upper world, which is what I'd equate to kind of their vision of heaven, and the lower world, which is the afterlife and evil spirits. They go there. So only the Mooseman who can see other things can go between the levels. So the ultimate goal is to get a light from the lower world and take it to the upper world.
Okay.
And you find out these bits as you pass by the totems. Well, I say totems, but they kept referring to them as idols.
Nice.
So these idols just look like... It's basically like a pillar with a face on it.
Is there swimming in it?
No.
Good. Because that really bugged me about Never Alone, the swimming levels. I hated those levels.
Yeah. So let's talk about the mechanics of the game. The mechanics of this game are very, very simple. You can walk left to right.
Yep.
You can switch to a kind of supervision, which basically gives you a white skull going over it. And you have a... Did you ever play Soul Reaver?
On PlayStation?
Yeah.
I never owned it, but I think I've played it before. I think I played it, yeah. It's the guy with the green eyes on the cover, yeah.
In the Soul Reaver, you
Legacy of Kain?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was the sequel to
Right.
Legacy. But you essentially can enter a different world, and when you enter the different world, it looks like the main world, but slightly twisted. So things could appear, things could change shape, and so that could change what you could do. They do a similar thing here, but much, much more simple. So, for example, when I turn on what I refer to as the white vision, because everything is white, like stark white,
Okay.
that you can see, bridges appear, trees appear or disappear, that kind of thing. So you're basically manipulating what is there and what isn't there. Logs become creatures that can walk away from you. Giant rocks become creatures that follow you. So you kind of have to just manipulate between the two worlds or the two visions in order to advance to the next section.
Okay, yeah. There's another game like that I played. I can't remember the name of it though. It's a side-scroller where you warp between two sets of vision, basically. And when you go to this one, a platform appears where you can jump to get over something. Sometimes you have to jump in midair and switch the vision so that you can get to the next platform, kind of thing. It was annoying.
I think there are a lot of games that do this. There's some that say that you're switching between times. There's some that say you're switching between worlds. Yeah, so it's not the most original mechanic, but it works okay. But this game is very, very simple. So when we talk about Never Alone, there's a lot of video that you can see once you get certain things.
Are there videos in this game as well?
No, and I think that that's a real weakness to the game because...
I like that in Never Alone.
That's what made Never Alone work for me. I didn't think the gameplay was that great. It's a fairly short game, but you actually saw bits of documentary of the people actually talking. In this one, you don't. So they're basically the idols, which you're going to pass no matter what, I think. So you do get that bit of story, which honestly is a bit of a problem because the game tends to repeat those things a couple times. So it starts to feel a bit redundant, but also you can find artifacts. And when you find an artifact, you don't actually get a real picture of the artifact. You get a kind of drawing of the artifact, which is not quite as effective as Never Alone, where you're actually seeing video. But it has the same problem of Never Alone, where there is zero way that I could be immersed in this game, because to truly understand what's going on in the game, I have to hit F2 and read the passage as I've just passed an idol to figure out what's going on in this section of the game. So when they say story rich as one of the tags, I'm not sure I would say that. I think that it's very mythology rich, and it just kind of matches the gameplay. And the gameplay is, honestly, I'm going to say it's not that great. Like, it's okay. Getting it as part of a bundle as I did, I don't feel that I'm cheated. But at the same time, I was kind of bored playing a lot of times, and there were times where the game wasn't quite clear as to what I was supposed to be doing.
And let's bear in mind that this is, you're only, for this kind of show that we're doing, we're only playing it for an hour. So if you're getting bored within an hour of playing it, that's pretty bad.
Right. Though the average runtime of this game is only 2 hours.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah.
For $7.50?
Yeah.
That's expensive.
It is, certainly by our standards. So at that point, that makes me go, am I hesitant in recommending it? And I am kind of. Because you already have it, because you got it as part of a bundle, there's part of me that wants to say, yeah, go ahead and give it a try. There are some very, very beautiful bits as you're going through and some of the imagery. And this is a mythology that you are probably not familiar with. And I know that that does appeal to you. But what I would caution you, what I would say with something like Never Alone, what I would say about this one is the game is primarily educational. And so this to me feels like the type of game where they might get me to play this as a child at a library to get me interested in the topic. It's more interesting than just opening a book, but it's for me less interesting than even just watching a video about it or watching some information about it. To just get it this way, I don't know. It's the problem with most educational games, I think, is that the gameplay is second to the information they're trying to put out there. And that's the way it felt to me the whole time playing this game. And I will say, for full disclosure, I've played through the whole game now. Okay. So I basically... One of the things with Buyer's Remorse is playing these games is it's kind of a push to constantly be playing something new while still trying to finish what I'm playing otherwise. So I found out that it was a 2-hour game and I went, okay, that's fine. I'm just going to play it through. So again, it's pretty much more of the same. There are a couple of interesting bits. There's a part later on in the game that I didn't get to in the first hour where you're flying on the back of a giant bird. There are some cool bits, but overall, it's more about education than it is about the game. So that would be my caveat. To anyone interested in some sort of new mythology or maybe mythology in this region, but I think honestly anybody who knows anything about that, this game would seem very, very basic in its knowledge.
Right.
We're only getting very, very brief bits. The total text that we got from the idols would probably only fill a couple pages of single spaced text. So I don't think that it's that much information, but to be introduced to it, it's nice. Honestly, I think this is a $1 game or $2 game at most, especially based on our system of $1 per hour. This is way over it on the regular price, but as part of a bundle, it's fine. I would recommend it to people who are specifically interested in that. Otherwise, this game is not interesting at all.
That's a good way to put it. Sounds... You're not selling me, Justin, on this. Even... I think this is going in the trade bin.
Well, that's your call, right? So, I can't argue with that. I think that it's okay, but okay for me is not enough to recommend.
Does it have cards?
Yes, it does have cards.
Oh, that's...
That's pretty much all you need for recommendation. Yes, it does, actually, because I've got 3 of them. So.
Okay. Is that a 6 card? It must be a 6 card game then, yeah.
I think it's 7.
Oh, that's even better. That's a good one. Because that drops more than 50% of your cards.
I don't know. I'd have to double check. I clearly don't worry about cards as much as you do.
If it's got 7, it's going to drop 4 cards because it has to drop 50% or rounding up. Yeah.
Well, in that case, then I would recommend it to you so that you can get your cards and you can do your trading. For other people, again, I think if you're going to get it, I would look for it on the cheap. I would look for it as part of a bundle. It's not a bad game, but it's okay. And for me, that's not enough to recommend.
So, Remorse or Confirmation?
Well, that's a tough one. Because, I got it as part of the bundle. It's only 2 hours, I think is good because I don't think anything longer. I don't think I would have wanted to finish it. Because I got it as part of the bundle, and it was pretty cheap to begin with, I can say it was okay. I'm going to give it a confirmation on this one.
All right.
Buyer's confirmation.
Thanks for listening, everyone. If you like the short podcast and you want to listen to a longer one, we have another podcast called Filling in the Gaps, where we take a look at puzzle games or puzzling movies, kind of mind benders, and try and take them apart and put them back together again. So you can find us over there. We also have a Steam group where we give away games and we do puzzles over there too to win those games.
Or you can get a hold of us if you have questions or suggestions at buyersremorse@gmail.com.
No apostrophe.